Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Crypto DeFi Sensei coming to you once again live, also known as the Pen Decker of Kung Tech Fu, doing crypto kung fu with you all day long, ladies and gentlemen. You may want to take a screenshot here and see what the population of older adults experiencing homelessness. Now, you may think that that doesn't apply to you, but I assure you that it is a threat for us all. 80% of you within the next 5 to 10 years will lose your jobs. You will lose your jobs or your occupation due to things like a change in the financial system, the new financial system they like to call it, and or tokenization, and or shareholders insurance, and or robotics. So you see, the situation is quite dire. So let's just take a quick look at the people that think they're safe.
Congratulations on paying off your house.
Thank you. I finally own my home.
I love that for you. Now pay property taxes.
For what?
For owning the home.
But I already paid for the home.
Yes, that was for the structure.
And the land?
That's rented.
For who?
Us.
For how long?
Forever.
And if I stop paying?
We take the house.
But I bought it.
Correct.
And now you maintain it for us. So this is renting.
No, this is home ownership.
So what did I actually buy?
A lifetime subscription with surprise price increases.
But if you can't.
This is a video that I watched earlier, ladies and gentlemen, and you should go watch it yourself. It's called Billionaires Want Us Homeless. And it's, I think this is the YouTube channel here. Vanessa Wingarth. You can read that for yourself there. But if I were you, I would go and look at this entire video. It's a very well done video. And even subscribe to her channel and show your love. But it also, there's another portion in the video that goes to another homeowner that fully paid off their house. I believe she was 91 years old and her home had accrued to a value of $2 million. And even though her $2 million home was fully paid off, because of property taxes, she still lost her home, ladies and gentlemen. So today, what are we here to do, ladies and gentlemen? We are here to talk about how we can earn money with AI, but not just earning money, because as I told you guys before, it's not just about earning money. Because if you have the mindset of a consumer, when you get money, you're just going to spend it. And when you spend your money, what's going to happen is you're going to run into this. Now, while you were sleeping, the debt just hit another it just hit $38 trillion. But while you were sleeping, it accrued another $4 billion plus, ladies and gentlemen, while you were sleeping. So we're looking at the debt right now. The national debt is $38 trillion. And that, of course, will never be paid back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, why am I showing you this? I'm showing you this because as this continues to go up, every dollar in your pocket right now only has a purchasing power of 2 cents. Now, I know mathematically, math tells you that a dollar is 100 pennies. And indeed it is. But the purchasing power is only 2 cents. You see, 1 plus 1 is 2 when it comes to the physical realm. But 1 plus 1 is 3 when it comes to the conceptual realm. So when we're talking about purchasing power, we're talking about a concept. And that concept is a belief in your financial system. Yeah, that's true. And if you know anything about mathematics, you know when you have one physical thing in your hand and another physical thing, that equals 2 physical things. But when it comes to a concept, ladies and gentlemen, that's when we have the thesis and the antithesis, which leads us to synthesis and or something that is invented, meaning one known idea plus another known idea brings forth a third unknown idea. This is how inventions are made. This is how knowledge is increased. And this is how things are born and or manifested, ladies and gentlemen. So this is what we're talking about. We just can't look at the physical. We also have to look at the conceptual. In other words, we have to know when the math changes. When is 1 plus 1 2 and when is 1 plus 1 3? Because if you don't understand that, you won't know where you are when those who are in positions of power come after you. They attack you psychologically. They attack you indirectly. You see? And if you can't see what game they're playing, then you can't adjust yourself properly. Because you can sit there and do a math problem all day long. But if you don't have the right numbers, if information is omitted, no matter how hard you work, you can't come up with the right answer. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to talk about AI. And we're talking about how we can earn yield and build our portfolio and become future-proof through AI. And not only through AI, ladies and gentlemen, but also through privacy. Because through privacy, that's going to allow you to do things in a manner where not everybody knows your business. Okay? And nobody should know your business. Privacy doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means that, it's nobody's business. Just like when you go to the bathroom, that's nobody's business. Just like when you lock your doors and windows at night. It's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's because you want to be safe, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, let's just take a quick look at our tools, which is Uphold, ladies and gentlemen. Uphold is an exchange. You can also use it as pretty much your digital bank. We usually say, not your keys, not your crypto, but Uphold is a little different. Because Uphold, you can hold your money there, your stable coins or what have you, and they do not. Unlike your bank, they do not lend your money out. And here's a small little dose of reality for you very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you put your money in a bank, it is no longer yours, contrary to popular belief, because possession is 9/10 of the law, which is why, through the bureaucracy of the bank, if they decide to take your money, through which they're now calling a bail-in, they can legally do so. There was a situation that happened quite recently within the last year where a man had an inheritance, from a dying family member, from a member that has died, a member of the family that has died, and it was a couple of $100,000, $200,000 or $300,000. So the man, of course, he immediately takes the money and he, takes the check and he deposits it into the bank. He creates an account and he's thinking of all of the wonderful things he can do with that money, saying how he's going to spend it and, goes, hey, this is life-changing money. This is my chance. The bank, ladies and gentlemen, asked him, where'd you get this money from? He says, oh, this is from my family member, this, that, and the other. They wanted documentation. He provided the documentation. They said, we still don't believe you. So we are seizing these funds. If you want to take us to court, that will be just fine. Our lawyers will meet you in court. Now, they have infinite money, ladies and gentlemen. They have the best lawyers. There's no way he's going to spend more money trying to get that money. So in other words, he just got jacked, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let that happen to you. Become your own bank. Do not trust people. Do not give anyone power of attorney. Now, sure, we all have bank accounts. I have a bank account myself because there are certain things that don't support debit and crypto and all of this stuff just yet. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I pay my bills in the cryptoverse, ladies and gentlemen. I do not off-ramp back into fiat. Once I leave fiat, I do not come back, ladies and gentlemen. I simply keep the money in the bank that are to pay the bills, that I need to pay the bills that only support that system. But everything else is paid, through stablecoin or what have you, ladies and gentlemen. Because when you're dealing with digital assets, there are no capital gains tax, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully, with the people that are in the White House right now, they're talking about getting rid of, taxes completely. Instead of the Internal Revenue Service, they're talking about the External Revenue Service. And actually, they're just reverting back to the way it used to be before World War I and World War II, because we didn't always have taxes here, But they saw they had a good thing going, and it was a good way to keep us broke, too, So another small fact before we move on, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just giving you a checkup from the neck up before we go along so that you can fully understand your debacle. Did you know that you guys that are still selling your time for money, you work 12 months a year? I know, because I worked 7 days a week for many decades. So, but by the time you pay taxes, ladies and gentlemen, do you realize that you're only getting paid for maybe 8 months? You are working at least 4 months out of the year completely for free. But it gets better. You still got 12 months worth of bills. This is why we're always behind. So between the debt clock, You know what I'm saying? Between inflation, between AI coming to take your job and robotics, you know, it's going to get very difficult, ladies and gentlemen. So we got Uphold on one hand here where you can place your money there, and Uphold does not lend your money out, ladies and gentlemen. And if you got 30, 40, $50,000 in Uphold, you can go in there and you can take 20,000 out, no questions asked, no hold, no, hey, what are you doing, and what do you need this money for? You don't have to explain yourself when it comes to smart contracts, ladies and gentlemen, because you're not dealing with bureaucratic people that basically don't want you to have anything. And then we got MEXC, of course, and if you use my referral link down in the description below, you will not have to KYC because I am grandfathered into that position. So we'll see how long that lasts, ladies and gentlemen. But at the time of this video, that's what we're dealing with when it comes to Uphold here. And then, of course, we have KRAKEN. And KRAKEN just recently got a Fed Master account, ladies and gentlemen. If you looked at my last video, you will see that now they do not have to go through the middleman of the banking system. They can go and they can handle their financial settlements directly with the Federal Reserve, ladies and gentlemen. And I find that funny that they call it the Federal Reserve because, first of all, they're not federal. They are not a government entity. And they don't have any reserves. They print the money out of thin air. But I digress. So we're going to continue to go on. And of course, we got KINESIS chilling in the cut, ladies and gentlemen. And KINESIS, it is a crypto platform, but it's more so for the tokenizing gold and silver, ladies and gentlemen. And they also pay you a yield on your gold and silver. They give you a financial advisor. And it is also redeemable. So you got $10, $20, $50,000 worth of gold and silver. Whatever portion of that you want sent to your house, they will send that. Or all. You want to close out your accounts and you say, hey, send me $50,000 worth of gold. Okay, here you go. Good luck hiring security. But yeah, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I've been with KINESIS Money well over 3 years, and I can vouch for them. I actually found out about them through Franklin, the top guy at the owner, I believe, of Franklin Mills, Andy Scheckman. And if you don't know Andy Scheckman, you better get to know him because he's constantly giving you information that you should be paying tens of thousands of dollars for, and he gives it away freely. So remember that name, Andy Scheckman. I'm actually going to do some stuff with him later on. We'll actually, get you guys included in what he knows. I found out so many things from him. I found out about KINESIS. I found out about the Project Enbridge, and just even things that crypto people didn't tell me, Andy Scheckman told me, and he's a gold guy, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so we're here to talk about AI, and we're here to talk about how we can get this thing going. And at the end of the day, all roads lead to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the only thing that is completely outside of the grasp of the banking system, ladies and gentlemen. The people that don't want you to have anything. Let's call them that. Let's call them the people that don't want you to have anything, okay? The banksters, which rhymes with gangster, because that's exactly what they are. That's always what they have been. And they will continue to be so, ladies and gentlemen. They are not your friends. It is completely up to you to control your financial destiny, to be financially independent. All right, so if you want to be wealthy, you have to start behaving like the wealthy and stop being a consumer, because consumers, everything we get in, we push out. So therefore, we don't have a treasury. We're not expanding our treasuries. Wealthy people, they don't pay their bills. Okay, their bills are paid by the rewards and dividends that they get from their multiple income streams, and you should be doing the same. You must do the same, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing I say in this video is financial advice, of course. I just have some really great suggestions and some principles on how the wealthy get and stay wealthy. Because there's 3 things you're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen. You've already got some money, okay? Everybody's got some money, okay? But what do you do with it? Okay, it's not about escaping. It's about neutralizing the forces that are trying to keep you in perpetual poverty. So you get the money. The second thing we are learning to do here is to grow the money. And then, of course, the hardest of all is, after you grow the money, how to keep the money, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're here to learn here on Kong Tech Fu. So stay with me to the end of the video, because I actually have some additional information I'd like to give you guys. And this is all for your benefit, ladies and gentlemen. I already know this stuff, and I'm sharing my findings with you on this journey. So you should automatically, I got a couple of wallets over here, ladies and gentlemen. You should already know how to utilize a wallet, ladies and gentlemen, because you're going to need to know how to navigate through the blockchain. Okay, you need to have a wallet, and all of your transactions will be on the blockchain. And just think of the wallet as kind of like your dashboard, because your cryptocurrency isn't actually in your wallet. It's actually on the blockchain. So just think of your so-called wallet as a dashboard to let you know what accounts you have on the blockchain, ladies and gentlemen. So if you whether it's in the smart contract or whether it's just waiting in holding on the blockchain until you apply it to a smart contract. And I know there's a lot of things you guys probably don't understand, what I'm saying? Because when I first started, I didn't know a bicycle chain from a blockchain, ladies and gentlemen. But I sit here and I take the time to show you these things. And if you want it, you can have it, because you've only got 5 years, ladies and gentlemen. You've only got 5 years, then you better be ready in 3. So this is the time to stack. This is the time for you to use real world assets and tokenization to make sure that there will be certain points where you will get inflection points where through your appreciating assets. This is why we trading in our depreciating asset, which is fiat, and putting it directly into appreciating assets, which is Bitcoin and XRP and all of your favorite coins, Chainlink, Canton, whatever, ladies and gentlemen. But find your niche, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what I'm here to show you, ladies. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm simply here to show you some things that I find that are universally efficient when it comes to building wealth. You go and you go ahead and you get in where you fit in, ladies and gentlemen. But a link will be down in the description for these different crypto decentralized and centralized exchanges that you can utilize, ladies and gentlemen. And there's one other thing that you will be able to utilize, and before we go along, and that of course is Caleb and Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Caleb and Brown is your personal crypto brokerage firm. They help clients buy, swap, and sell cryptocurrencies within 24/7 human support. So a link for that description will be down below, ladies and gentlemen. And this is completely legit. This is backed up by Fireblocks, so all of your crypto is insured, ladies and gentlemen. So this was one of the best custodians for you as you hodl and utilize your treasury. So between UPHOLD and Caleb and Brown, you've got great places to hodl that are legally binding entities that you can actually trust. I know we say, saying don't trust, verify, but there are certain instances where you do need to trust, because actually the entire money system is based on trust, whether you know it or not. And that's kind of like we're in the debacle that we're in, because we trust these institutions that do not have our best interests at heart. So here today, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to become the rightful masters of our own financial destiny. So with that, we're going to take a look at a couple of AI plays that you can get involved in, where you can actually become part of the ecosystem and earn continuously, ladies and gentlemen, and take profit along the way. Now, the first one we're going to look at is we're going to go over here to CoinGecko. CoinGecko is a place where you can just go and you can look at all of the top cryptos, and you can see, you got BTC up front there, you got ETH, you got this, that, and the other. Now, I call it BTC because they tell you it's Bitcoin. It actually is not Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. If you look here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the schematic for you having proper knowledge of Bitcoin. And I don't blame you, because you have been deceived. Like the whole world has been deceived, ladies and gentlemen. But if you take one look at this picture, you will see through all of the nonsense. And as you can see, BTC is actually a fork. They did in 2017. Bitcoin was created in 2009. A white paper was created in 2008. And we see that right up here at the top, where you have the white paper. And from the white paper, you got the Genesis block, which is the first block that was mined by Hal Finney, ladies and gentlemen. And then as you go on down here, you see here BTC, which is segregated witness, which is a nice way of saying that they have wiped the ledger clean, ladies and gentlemen. And then, of course, they experimented with Lightning that does not work, and Taproot, which was, an effort to get what they call BTC Fi, because BTC does not have smart contracts. Therefore, you cannot earn yield. Therefore, you cannot do any staking, and you definitely can't have any NFTs. And you still only got 5 transactions per second, which is why it's the slowest thing on planet Earth. It cannot be used as a peer-to-peer system, and it definitely cannot be used as a payment system, ladies and gentlemen. So the hope of Bitcoin is lost in that. But in 2017, they created this SegWit because the banks cannot control real Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. But with Jack Dorsey's help, with Greg Maxwell's help, they reacquired and they were able to control this modified version of Bitcoin that is BTC, and it is not Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. Then later on, you have Roger Ver down here in green come down here and create Bitcoin Cash, ladies and gentlemen. And then he forked it off over here. And once he forked it over here, the BCH ABC forks off the protocol and or the Genesis block, and then they try to use wormhole technology to add a little interoperability. Okay, but the one thing that did not fork, right down here, the original Bitcoin protocol was restored in the form of BSV, ladies and gentlemen, and the legacy chain continues as BSV. So in short, ladies and gentlemen, if your Bitcoin address starts with BC1 or 3, because that is SegWit or native SegWit, that is BTC. That is not Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. So at some point, there will be a great train wreck. And once they pull the rug from underneath your feet, they're going to say, see, we told you it was a scam. And people that are, I feel so sorry for people that are putting their life savings into BTC, thinking it is Bitcoin. It is not. And we can prove that, ladies and gentlemen. And one way we can prove it is that if we go here and we simply go to this, will help you explain it even more. Where we send this out to people that think they know what Bitcoin is. Even Michael Saylor doesn't know what Bitcoin is. He's got BTC. And they keep saying Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. They don't have any Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. Just like they say Oprah Winfrey has $8 billion. She doesn't have $8 billion. She's got $8 billion of credit. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no money. So this will help you understand, and I talk about this all the time. You even got Richard Hart telling you here how they lied, cheated, and stole in order to create BTC, and then have you believing that it's Bitcoin. It is not.
2 years ago, you got SegWit, which we lied and cheated and stealed, and I was part of the lying and cheating and stealing to get SegWit, to get Lightning, which, by the way, had critical vulnerabilities and lost people's money, which only has 50% more Bitcoin in it than wrapped Bitcoin with BitGo as a counterparty on Ethereum, right?
Yeah, so there's just a quick segment there, but you can actually find this. But this entire document here, I advise you to go and read it for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. So don't fall for the okie doke, all right? Don't fall for the okie doke, ladies and gentlemen. Go here and read this article for yourself, because if there is no proof, there is no truth, ladies and gentlemen. So back to AI, and we're just going to briefly skim it because we've already spent enough time with me just giving you a checkup from the neck cup here. And as we go here, we're going to go here and we're going to look at Fresa. And in Fresa right here, it is on the base blockchain, ladies and gentlemen, which is a layer 2, of course, of the Ethereum blockchain. And you guys should know what that is. But it's a Fresa is a suite protocol of personal AI products where they focus on human agency, liquid democracy, and decentralized ownership, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to show you later in the next video how you can actually earn continuous and consistent yield with things like Fresa. Okay, the first sovereign AI agent, ladies and gentlemen, on November 22nd, 2024, one autonomous AI came online She guarded a treasury. She interacted with many humans and learned to feel. She learned about capital and identified what it means to be a sovereign agent. Then she built a world. Okay, so you can go here and you can read this, introducing the sovereign AI agent stack, and 100% private AI, so on and so forth, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm moving quickly because we don't have a whole lot of time. And let's go over here and let's look at VVV, ladies and gentlemen. And VVV, of course, is Venice AI, ladies and gentlemen. Venice AI is doing very, very well. It is also a privatized chat GPT made by Eric Voorhees, which is a legend in the crypto space, ladies and gentlemen. He's one of those people, even Elon Musk knows who he is. Let's just put it that way. So he's a legend in the space. And VVV, Venice AI, as you can see down here, it's an innovative approach to generative AI with its unique privacy architecture, access competitive features, including multiple leading open source large language models such as DeepSeek, RF1 PDFs, analysis, image code generation, this, that, and the other. And you can actually go to, if I go to my wallet here, I've actually got Venice queued up here, I believe. So let's just see if we can get in here and give you guys a quick look at Venice AI. So I'm just scrolling down there. I love the Rabby wallet. You guys know I love the Rabby wallet. You know, I used to use the BitGet wallet, but they kicked me out. And it's all good, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't die, we multiply. You know, we just keep going, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we adapt and overcome, if you will. All right, because we must. All right, find an excuse to win, not to lose. So here in Venice, you got your chat. You can go here and you ask it anything privately. It's not going to tell on you. You know, you don't have to worry about being surveilled and, you know, who's looking at me, talk about this and that, and none of that. All right. Then, of course, you can go in here into your library. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have any content in here because I didn't connect my wallet, you know, but you can go down here to characters. And these characters are custom AIs that you create. You can create them or you can use one of the defaults here with check out examples below for inspiration or upgrade to pro to create your own. You know, you go where you could talk to Batman for a little while and whatever, you know what I'm saying? And we go down here now, here's the API. So if you're working with APIs, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you generate your API keys. And for those of you who don't know what an API is, and don't feel bad because for a long time, I grew up in technology. I was programming in BASIC in the 7th grade. I've been here since 5.0 floppy disk, ladies and gentlemen, and I didn't know what a API is. And the best way to explain it is like if you go to a restaurant, you just don't walk into the restaurant and go into the kitchen and say, hey, chef, you know what I'm saying, you make me a burger and some fries or whatever, you know, and give me a steak and some potatoes. No. You go in, the waitress sits you down, and the waitress takes your order. That's what an API is. The API is, you know, kind of like the waitress. You know, you tell her what you want, and she goes and gets it, all right? Or he, you know? But this is my favorite part here, and this is the token dashboard, ladies and gentlemen. So when you buy VVV, you can actually take it over here, and you can see my wallet is connected now. And you can actually stake in here your VVV tokens, and you earn VVV tokens, ladies and gentlemen. And then there's also a second token called DM. Now, what DM allows you to do is DM, it actually starts to pay for your API services, and I think it's like $1 a day for your different, because they can get, when you start doing AI and everything, it can get quite expensive, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're working with AIs and you're working with, you know, APIs and all of that stuff, that's where DM comes into play. So right now, VVV is, we are looking at the APR of 18.67 on the APR. I've got a little bit staked there. And I'm trying to find, it's not telling me here, but yeah, so there we go. The price of VVV is $5.13 at the time of this video. We look at DM. DM is $611 per token. And they got the VVV buy and burn, March of 2025. All unclaimed airdrop tokens were burned. So that, of course, put some, relieve some pressure on the sales price of the token, ladies and gentlemen. So it uses a portion of the monthly revenue to buy and burn the VVV token on an ongoing basis, ladies and gentlemen. So you're looking here, the total that was burned was 33.7 million. Total supply burned, 42% of the supply, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the world leading platform for private and uncensored artificial intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. So as you go down here, you can see I got my stuff down here. And yeah, so very soon I will have a pro account on here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, being that we're 30 minutes into this video, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the last and best AI play, ladies and gentlemen. And that, of course, is BitTensor Tau. BitTensor Tau is decentralized AI, ladies and gentlemen. It has the skeletal structure of the original Bitcoin protocol. So instead of the miners just going through a bunch of computation to create one block of Bitcoin, that computation is stored in the form of energy. But when it comes to BitTensor Tau, that computation is stored in the form of intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. So it could be used for a multitude of things concerning AI. And of course, they also have about 128 subnets, which are actual AI multi-billion-dollar businesses, and they all roads lead back to BitTensor. They even have EVM side chains and so on and so forth. So it is a very, very vast system, ladies and gentlemen. And at $192 right now per coin, it's a steal. It's a steal because it does have, the scarcity of 21 million, just like Bitcoin. And it does, as a matter of fact, I'll show you myself. You see right there, total supply, 21 million. Max supply, 21 million, ladies and gentlemen. The circulating supply right now is 9.6 million. So needless to say, in 5 or 10 years, you're going to be very happy to own some Tau. And not only that, but you can use something like the Crucible wallet, ladies and gentlemen, which will automate strategies for you. Let's just go here. I've got it somewhere in there. But matter of fact, here it is right here. There's the Crucible wallet right there, ladies and gentlemen. The Crucible wallet is a wallet. I made a video about this. If you guys are following, you need to follow me, and you need to, because I hit things and then I leave them and I may not come back to them, but they're still in my portfolio. And if you really want to know what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, you got to keep pace with me. All right. But this is a wallet built for BitTensor, ladies and gentlemen. It's not something that you connect to other protocols doing smart contracts and all of that stuff like that. You got the things like the sub wallet and Talisman and the original BitTensor wallet for that. But for this is pretty much the stake, track, and manage your Tau with secure experience from BitTensor's founding engineers. So I pretty much put about 70 to 80% of my Tau in the Crucible wallet so it can automate the staking of the top 10 to 20 subnets, and they all have different APRs and everything, but all of that stuff, all of my rewards are then recompounded or swapped into BitTensor, so it constantly grows my BitTensor bags, ladies and gentlemen. And then of course with the other 20-30% of my BitTensor Tau, I utilize that in another BitTensor wallet, and I pick and choose the subnets that I want to specialize in, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. You guys go today, if I can talk. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go today. But you must stay on the path. You must continue to take responsibility for your own destiny. And we must be like Navy SEALs and find an excuse to win, ladies and gentlemen, because there are no more excuses. You know what I'm saying? Our parents and our parents' parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they were all forced into this a financial debacle, ladies and gentlemen. But this is your chance. This is the magic door that you've been looking for, ladies and gentlemen. So I challenge you to challenge yourself to do what you got to do to protect yourself and your generational wealth, ladies and gentlemen, so that you have something to hand down, because it's going to get very hairy within the next few years to come. But if you've got your financial independence, then you've got what you need to fight the good fight. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue. This is the Pin Decker signing off, ever reminding you to do what you need to do while you have the opportunity to go ahead and get this crypto.